Hey there, thanks for joining us again. Today I'm going to show you how you can debug backend Svelte files or sapper files and also debug Google Cloud Functions at the same time. So we're not running any node inspect processes right at the moment on the devices screen. So if we go to our console and we want to run npm debug on the real world front end, remember we can go into run sapper dev like this, or we can use node inspect. So we're going to run this one. And when we run it on like this, then we're going to be able to debug the backend files that are never exposed on the client, namely these ones. Everything else is pretty much you can debug on the client side, but using Chrome is normal. But these ones only are running on the server. So if you want to debug these, then you have to run it with the node inspect process. So I'll just demonstrate that. So at the moment, we're not running any node inspect processes. So we can start them like this, and that's going to fire up node. And the ones that we're going to be able to want to be debug here is the ones inside of, okay, it's taking a bit of time. Right, so there's a node modules folder that's opened up, and also the stuff that's running on Sapper here. So let's see. So we can also debug things that the client side can get on here if you're doing it from the browser. So what we're interested in is the auth files. So if let's go to the login and put a breakpoint here. Okay, so we have our Sapper files that are running on the node processes here. One thing you also want to do is also want to run the Google Cloud Data Store function. So I've done that, got that process running by two things. So what I've done was on the Cloud Functions project, we've done and it's emulate functions, we've opened it up, inspect on another port. So that once we're running that, then by default on the 8080 that is running on the inspect process on Sapper, we can run the other one on a different port. And when you go into your devices panel, and you can go to the connection here, and you can add 80 like in any port you want. And that means that the files will be shown up here. So, for example, if I kill that process, so emulate functions, so you can see now it's just removed. So when we can restart it again, because it's running on that port we've set up in the connection, we'll see that file appear up here. Now, because we're running all this stuff locally, we're not going to connect to Google Cloud, we also have to emulate the data store. So when we run data store, it's and we'll show you data store soon. We start data store running on this port 8081, and I've passed in that as a function here, environment variable here. So let's just start that, which means then our code will work properly and not break and stuff. This is pretty hard, I must admit, but we'll get there. Right, so everything looks fine. So we're going to go, we've set up a breakpoint in the login function within the user and the functions frameworks project, and we've also set a breakpoint up in here. So we'll do one here, and then we'll get our login file. Okay, so the client side code is inside of this. We've got a route here, and it's going to be the login component here that's going to fire off the request. So we can go one better. We can do 3 levels of debugging if we wanted. Although, yeah, it's kind of funny on the client. I think you have to do that in the browser. The stuff that's purely client side sometimes for debugging reasons. Anyway, so we're going to go to the browser. I'm going to go in here and click sign in, and we're going to fire off this request to the backend functions framework. It's going to come in here with data, and then it's going to run a data query there, right, on the data store, and hopefully we're going to get a result. And of course there's going to be no user because we don't have any users that are registered yet, but at least the code will execute and give a result back, and then hopefully it's coming back into the Sapper file here, and then of course that will just be returned to the client, and hopefully it just displays this. So there we go, that's how you debug Sapper files and also the functions framework backend code locally. Now also, just one other, we can go one step further of course, and I'll just show you, hopefully we can debug some of the client code as well. So there's 3 levels of debugging here for bonus points, I imagine. So we go to login, and then here, and then we've got our call to the API. So we click sign in, it's going to come in here. So I'm going to press F8, it's going to come into here. We're going to press F8, it's going to come into here, it's going to come back out here, and then it's going to come back out here. 3 levels of debugging. There we go. That's how you do it, folks. Have a nice day, and we'll see you soon with showing you how to what actually happens when you log in, and how we can inspect the data locally. Ain't that fun?